Everybody, welcome to a new endeavor under the Clouse to the Heart umbrella. This is the debut of the Clouse and Cloyd show. I am Jason Clouse. He is Jason Cloyd, and we are lifelong friends, dating some 30 years at this point, and it boggles my mind when I say that, but Jason, you and I, kind of a backstory here. We grew up. We met each other in junior high school, and for all intents and purposes, have pretty much been inseparable, at least through the majority of our milestone moments in life. Would you
Indeed.
agree with that?
Yes. What was the name of the teacher?
Mr. Kern, wasn't
Mr.
it?
Kern. Mr. Kern, and I believe it was study hall.
Yes.
Study hall.
Fourth period?
Yeah, seems right.
I think that's right.
Seems right. If I remember correctly, I think when they were calling your name, I thought they were calling my name, and as usual, I thought they screwed up my name.
Right.
So I stood up, and then I realized that there was another kid walking right down the aisle to go grab my seat. That was you. Like, Cloyd, how's this going to work?
Well, fate has funny ideas, does it not? I mean, they just seem to be written in the stars, and here we are, all these years later, and now we're going to do something kind of cool, man. We're going to have our own show here on YouTube.
Very cool. Very cool.
So, on this show, just for kind of a precursor to those who are watching, we are going to try to do this at least once a week, and we are going to cover a variety of topics. And it may not resonate with each and every person, but at the same time, there will be a contingency to where we do make sense, and we are somewhat being accepted by a portion of our audience. Just bear with us, because this is going to be a work in progress, just like anything else is. Rome was not built in a day, as they say. But this is something that Jason and I are very excited about doing. At least I am. I guess I can't speak for him, but
No.
I'm excited about this, man. We have cool stories to tell. We have unique views on the world that we live in, especially in this crazy time, right, with the global pandemic happening and everything like that. But today I want to talk about maximizing your minutes. And I think, and Jason, you and I talked about this a little bit before we hit the record button, just how important that, such a simple phrase is, maximizing your minutes, because in any circumstance, we have no guarantees as to how long we are in a situation or here on Earth as a whole. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's something we can definitely take for granted. Definitely something that I think on a day-to-day we take for granted, and we don't realize what you got until it's gone. I think that's probably the biggest cliche thing that I've always heard people say. You don't know what you got until it's gone. Cinderella song. Go figure.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And, we get so involved in everyday life and in our obligations, our responsibilities, everything that we need to do to take care of our families. We have careers and jobs, a way to support your family, or just yourself if that you don't fall under that umbrella. But it takes something catastrophic more often than not that is a really stunning reminder that just how fragile life is. You and I have been friends a long time, You know, I was with you when your father passed away. You know, right after your
Yeah,
father
yeah,
passed
yeah,
away. You
yeah.
know, I remember going to his funeral. You know, now, we're, as of this recording, I'm 3 weeks out from losing my brother, and he was somebody that you knew very well because we grew up
Yeah.
together, right?
Yep,
So
very well. Yeah, I know Jeff ever since I was trying to do the dating myself. I think when you and I met, he would have been about 9.
I believe that's right.
Seems about right.
Yeah,
So he's 40. He was 40.
right.
So yeah, I've known him for, I mean, obviously I've known him for as long as I've known you. Him and I weren't as close, but yeah,
So yeah, I mean, like we said, it takes something like that to put reality back into the picture. You
yep,
know, in a way, maximizing your minutes is it's cliche-ish. It's actually, the first time I really started hearing that phrase on a regular basis was actually in the wrestling business. You maximize your minutes, meaning you make the most of that time that you're allotted
yes,
on TV, right?
yes,
In a segment or a wrestling match or what have you. But that, along with so many other things from that genre, can be relatable to real life.
hmm,
And I think because we take things for granted, it just it just it's sad, really, because it takes a lot of heartbreak, it takes a lot of anger, it takes a lot of sadness for us to realize, we are not guaranteed tomorrow.
no,
Anything could happen within the blink of an eye. It's been proven time and time again.
yes, yes, yes. And we go through a lot of unfortunate times to realize that. But like we were talking previously, I am a man of faith, and um, we say that we're never promised tomorrow. God does promise us, a lot of hopes, and obviously, eternity. So for those who don't, you know, uh, practice, I hate to use the R word, religion, because religion is wishy-washy word. But those who don't practice a relationship with God, they may not understand that that when there is death, that you know that there actually can be a tomorrow. Um, Things here on earth can die and be gone forever, but God does offer us hope. That's that can get pretty deep there.
Yeah, I mean that could really be its own topic for a show.
Yep.
Um, Maximizing your minutes, though. I would say this. I guess I would put it into different categories. And the one thing, if you're going to maximize your minutes, you're going to have to make some adjustments with the way you go about your everyday life, right?
Sure.
Like, for example, the procrastination, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the big one. I am as guilty of this as anybody. You know, you you're looking at a list of things that need to get done, that you want to get done, or whatever the case may be. I'll get to it tomorrow,
Yeah.
or I'll wait for next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or same thing goes with the way that we communicate, with people, especially with family members, friends who are great distances away. That my dad's side of the family is all down south,
Hmm. Yep.
and now with the advent of social media and FaceTime and Skype and all these other things that you can actually see each other in real time. um you know we 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 always take for granted that they're always going to be there. I'll call them next week, or
Yes.
I'll and I
Yep.
am very, very guilty of that.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've really tried to make a conscious effort. But if you really want to maximize those minutes, like we've been talking about, the first thing, would you agree, would be um, addressing the procrastination problem that just about, I would say more than half of the population really has experience with. Would you agree with
Yes.
that?
Yes. Procrastination turns into like kind of like our monthly meetings or our monthly talks with our parents. Like I think just not too long ago, I made a comment that, gosh, um, I know my wife's, her and her mother talk, like every day. And
Right.
sometimes I'm like, gosh, I think I talk to my mom like once every 3 weeks, and it's sometimes we're guilty of putting our time in, and putting our time in, I guess would equate to some kind of procrastination. It's like, well, I just got that monthly phone call done, and I'm not speaking about any of my family in particular, but a lot of times when we do that monthly call or whatever it is, we think, wow, I got that done and out of the way, on to the next month, and then the next thing you know, it's just like it's gone. But yeah, procrastination is definitely an Achilles heel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very, very good way of putting it.
Why put off today what you can, why put off till tomorrow what you get done today? It's, uh, everybody's guilty of it.
Right. I mean, it's especially with the communication of, those that are near and dear to you, and I think about that now, and when you lose somebody close to you, the first thing you start, or at least I do, you start to think about is everything that I did wrong in our relationship. What if I
Yes.
did this? What if I
Yes.
did that?
Yes.
You know, and then you're like,
Yeah.
no, I had no idea that this was going to happen. You had no idea any of your losses were going to
Yeah.
happen. It just does.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have time to prepare for it as much as you possibly can, and then other times it comes out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Right.
And you made the comment of about having those conversations with your mom and your wife and her relationship with her mom, talking to her every day. My wife does the same thing 3-4 times a day without fail.
Yeah.
She's got her mom on the phone or text messaging or whatever. And self-admittedly, I for the longest time would go weeks without talking to my parents.
Sure.
And when we lost my mom
Yeah.
a few years ago, I have made a more conscious effort to stay in better contact with my dad, even though I know he's got his stuff going on and I've got my stuff going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, man, you don't want to really focus on all the negative that comes with it in terms of the ultimate sadness of losing your friends and your loved ones, but that certainly is the most glaring example.
Yes.
Of seize the day, do what you're going to do. If you have that opportunity to do it on that day, and you have the time and that you can fully invest in whatever that is, do it now, because you don't know if that same door of opportunity is going to be available to you tomorrow morning
Right.
when you
Yeah.
decide to wake up and roll your ass out of bed. Um, Kind of along those lines, but trying to focus more on the positive end of the spectrum. And it was something that you and I kind of touched on when we taped the pilot, um, which is still in the
Yeah.
in the development because everything happened after that. But
Yeah. I think we did that pilot a couple days before.
yeah,
Yeah.
and one of the things that you had said that really struck a nerve with me in a good way was we were talking about your nephew and his friend were into the bodybuilding
Yes.
picture, right?
Yes.
And that he had indicated in some way, shape, or form that you had been a role model, or his role model as he started to embark on this. And I thought, man, you hear about people who look up to others, and the ones that they look up to wind up being just awful people.
Yeah.
Self-centered, egotistical. They don't give a crap about anybody other than the dead president's faces in their bank account. And when you told me that, I had actually told you to stop because I wanted to get this
Sure.
on film.
Sure.
But I thought to myself, man, if anybody should be looked up to in terms of everything that makes your ideal role model a really genuine, decent person, you are at the top of that list, because you're going to be one of those guys, I feel, unless you've totally changed the entire inner workings of who you are, and I don't think that you have. But you are that type of guy that will make the time to be that role model if you are, needed in whatever capacity that your nephew and
Yeah.
or his friend might
Yeah.
need. So kind of talk us into what he's doing, and how you are influencing him, I guess.
Oh boy, I tell you what, when you say all this stuff, I sit here and I just think, well, of course, we all got our demons in our closet, but in the same token, I think about um, some of the role model activities that I do have with him, because him and I hunt together as well too. Talking about my nephew Alec, I even got my nephew Zachary, my sister's boy, into this. I'm not sure what his status is of the bodybuilding world is as right now, but I know Alec and Tommy. I loosely just call him my nephew. It's just easier to call him my nephew, but he's a good friend of Alec's. But Alec watched me train back in 2013 as I was trying to get into a show. Apparently, that inspired him. Okay, so him and I, we hunt together along with my, it's funny because me and my brother and his best friend, we always used to hunt together. Now it's like me, my brother, and his son, my nephew, we all hunt together. Uh, and me and Alex seem to have a different kind of chemistry, a different kind of glue, because we not only do we hunt together, but we bodybuild together. Not as often as I wish we could, but yeah, he has, he's once told me, you really inspired me to get here. But as you were talking about that inspiration, I'm thinking, but there's some damage along the way though. And some of the damage I think about is some of the damage I do here at home. People that need me here at home, my wife, my son Grady, and then I've got stepkids now that do look up to me, and I can't help but feel that I'm breaking a bond because I'm spending too much time working out in the basement because the gyms are closed, but I'm spending too much time working out in the basement when they're here. I try to include them, try to get them involved. I got kids down there deadlifting Absapure water bottles that weigh about 50 pounds a jug. We try to make this a family thing. Hey, get over here, line up. Let's all do this together. But still, people need that. They need my glue, to keep this family together. And I think of, wow, I might be inspiring a couple guys over here, but man, I've got people that live under the same roof as me that I'll admit I do let down because I am busy inspiring others, so I guess that would be just, I know you didn't ask about that, but that would be my little take on that is I got to be careful on how far my inspiration should go, because I got a big job here at home too, you know.
Right.
But yeah, Alec and I got a nice little bond, and the hope is that me, him, and Tommy will be hitting the stage in August, and that's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun.
Wow, I guess I didn't realize it was to that level where you're actually looking at doing. Is it a competition, or is it just kind of like a showcase type of gimmick?
Yeah, it will be. It'll be their second competition because they did it last year in August, and it'll be my first.
Okay.
And it's, we're hoping that this is just going to be the experience of a lifetime, and who knows, maybe the three of us go head to head in a little bit of a finale thing. But you think about it, I've had a lot of time to just work out at home and pack on some LBs, and I'm running with it. So I'm packing on all this weight, and Alec is starting to shred a little bit, and he's going, well, I need to know what you're doing to gain weight because I got to gain weight, So there's that little competition that we even got going on with ourselves. But I'm looking at it for just the experience and the overall bonding, to do something that I've always wanted to do and get to do it with these guys. I think it'd be cooler. And we've even talked, it'd be great to get my brother into it too, because he started to, work out more at home and, start to look a lot better at his age, and looks really good. So we're all thinking, man, that'd be a pretty good thing to get all the, Cloyd boys up there and Tommy up there and start tearing it up. So
right. Yeah, Brian's always been in good shape. I mean, even when I first met him, he's always been a strong guy.
Shoot. He's the one that got me into hunting. He's the one that got me into working out, which was funny. And then, of course, like we talk about with lives and times changing and impacting, and life gets in the way sometimes, and then you don't have, so he didn't, stay in it all that long. And then of course I tried staying in it. It's hard because life, like I said, just business and personal stuff just gets in the way. And the next thing you know, it's 2 days of not working out turns into 20, and 20 turns into 40. And
right.
Next thing you know, it's, you got dust and clothes all over the weight bench, so, but no, at the age of 46, I figure, you know what, it's going to happen. My wife, Dana, is just absolute rock, and on a day-to-day basis, just encouraging me. She's like, how's your meals going? How's your meal prep going? Because, she helps me with my meal prep and make sure that I'm eating on schedule and, getting up and doing what I'm supposed to do. 10 o'clock at night, I'm still trying to put another meal down. So it's that's the hardest part, is eating. That's the hardest part. I would say during this whole quarantine, I've probably packed on 15 pounds. The quarantine 15 that everybody's calling it. I've done mine in a good way. But yeah, she's been a rock. She's just been pushing me. But in the same token, like I said, though, I've got inspiration 30 miles, 25, 30 miles from me, between my nephews. And then I think, man, under my own roof, where's a breakdown at? Because I still know that she wants date night, movie night. She went out and got us dinner tonight, and I was down working downstairs. I come up and she's got a candlelit dinner. I still got my weightlifting gloves on, drinking my creatine, and she's got dinner on the table. You want to talk about solid. I mean, she's just encouragement, so she's doing really good, but I definitely got to make sure that I pay attention to her and show the kids what a marriage looks like.
Man.
So there's straight from the heart, brother.
That was, man, good. I mean, that was a perfect bottom line. Yeah. That last line was like, whoo, nailed that one out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. That's part of the whole you see an opportunity and you're making the most of it. Now, what I'm hearing is you're worried that because you're focusing so much on this
Yeah.
one aspect that another one may not get all of the attention that it needs.
Exactly. Yes. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what it turns into. It's, how come you are, I'd love to talk to Jason, but he's always, so I got to be careful. And you know what, though? I mean, everything's a uh, learning experience for me, and I have the opportunity to work with a great guy who, uh, I call him my, not my life coach, but I call him my, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. But he,
Mentor?
yeah, mentor. Thank you. Yes, mentor. Teaches me a lot. And the one thing that he got me hooked up with a while ago is Waking Hearts Ministries, and it's basically like men mentoring men. And the one thing that I always learn is that it seems like we bring our kids we bring kids into this world to screw them up. I mean, not literally, but figuratively speaking. You think about kids when they grow up. What do? They spend their whole life pretty much recovering from their childhood. And I think about that like every day that I'm like down there. Especially like, am I doing anything here to screw up where these kids are going to go, my gosh, I'd love to communicate with my dad. I remember when I was 10 years old, trying to communicate with my dad. He was a son of a gun because he was always working out, or I was always bugging him when he was eating, stuff like that. So believe me, I'm always, I wrestle with my demons on a day-to-day basis. And those demons are just making sure that, I stay focused at what's at hand, and it's my family. My family's got to come first.
Right.
Like I said, when she came home with dinner on the table, I was literally in the middle of a workout, and I was like, you know what? It was my fault that I didn't maximize my time. So I maximized my time up at the dinner table.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Just about any aspect of life, any challenge, any project, anything that means something to you that's going to require time and effort and work, that's really where the maximize your minutes thing comes.
Yeah.
As I mean, it for you, it right now it's working out. So if you find, you have a considerable amount of downtime where you don't have any other things happening at that point, for you, it might be running downstairs and getting a quick workout in.
Yeah.
For somebody that's trying to launch a musical career, um, they may be on the couch watching a movie or something like this, and an idea, a piece of music will just pop into their head, and they need to get that down.
Yeah.
Like now, stop everything, get that idea down on paper, because there's no guarantee that you're going to remember that an hour from now, a day from now, a week from now. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'll get to it when this movie's over. It must be a damn good movie, because if I was a musician and I thought, a song lyric, a title, a hook, whatever the case may be comes in, I'm getting that thing down on paper. And if I can, I'm going to start working on that to grow it, to materialize it right at that moment, because you may forget, or something may come up later on to where you can't expand on that idea because of something else has come to the limelight. You've wasted that opportunity to materialize a dream, a goal, a project. If you're in the middle of a painting and you find yourself with time to either work on that painting or sit in front of a TV and shove a half a bag of Doritos down your throat, well, then maybe you didn't, maximize your minutes to
Right.
the best of your ability. You know what I'm saying?
Right on. Right on. Yeah.
So I just, I guess my point is, we need, all of us need to stop taking life for granted,
Mm-hmm.
because we have this mentality that we have all the time in the world. And the truth of the matter is we do not. And we really need to start making more of a conscious effort, and don't wait for some tragedy or don't
Right.
wait for some life altering thing to happen before you
Right.
realize that you have not maximized your minutes, I guess.
Right. Right. Exactly. And some of my beef with maximizing the time, some of my beef has a lot to do with social media. And I think the reason why that a lot of people don't maximize their time, especially with calling somebody, is because, well, think about it. What's the first thing that goes out of people's mouths when you run into them? You haven't seen them in a while, and you go, "How are things going?"
You on Facebook?
They say, "Are you on Facebook?" Or if you are Facebook friends with them, the connection is very small. It's very short. And the reason being is because, well, did you see on Facebook? Well, no, I'm here asking you. Well, just check it out on Facebook. It's almost like Facebook has its own. It's our own personal DVR. Okay,
Such a great analogy.
so we have a personal DVR. So if you want to see how Jimmy's doing, hey, you haven't seen you in a while. Okay, you can just go through all his photos. I mean, some people call it stalking. Some people, I call it, DVR, and you can see in a flash what's been going on in their lives. But if you are if you follow somebody on a day-to-day basis, but you hardly ever run into them, when you do, it's just what you get. It's like, well, if did you see I bought a house on Facebook? Well, yeah, how are you doing? Well, did you see that my dad? Yeah, I saw that, but I want to know, how are you doing?
Actually have a conversation.
I want to have a conversation, and then you always get the, well, just message me on Facebook or whatever. So we see people's life in a glance. We see people's life in a flash right in front of us.
Snapshots.
So these snapshots in life are still taken for granted. I mean, you and I can talk here about maximizing time, but I mean, I hate to say it, but realistically, people still just, they get so caught up on social media, and they realize that this personal DVR, there's this good catch them all up, and it's good, and it's really good. And that's why I hardly, and I see you're on there obviously a heck of a lot. I hardly post a thing. And a lot of the reason why I don't post much is because when I do, I usually get, I'll admit, 1 or 2 likes, 1 or 2, 3 likes. When I post something about our marriage, okay, it's a little bit different. But other than that, I just go, you know what? If I really need that kind of approval, I don't need to post this stuff on there, When I run into people, I want to be able to talk to them. Hey, how are you doing? I don't want to go, well, you can check me out on Facebook, or you can contact me at, jcloyd.com and send me a link. People, I want to hear from people's hearts. Hey, but in the same token, I'll admit that I can be a little antisocial. I run into people that I see on Facebook. I think the same thing, and I go, you know what? They're doing good. They just had a baby. Their mom's good. They got a new dog. I think the dog's name is Patches, and they're good. I don't need to talk to them. I'll admit I do that, and that's all because of we just got our DVR. We got our little DVR device. That's all we do. Or what was it called back in the day? TiVo? I think it was called TiVo. Back in the early times when this whole DVR thing came out. So yeah, that's my take on that.
I don't really think we could follow that up with anything. That was a perfect analogy because you're absolutely right. And that can actually be the segue into next week's episode, because that could be an entire episode unto its own. That's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, and it's just that's where we take things for granted. Think about it. If we didn't have social media, you would see more phone numbers up on the refrigerator. You would have more people doing this.
Yeah.
But because of social media, guess what?
It's all like this.
You and I can talk to a wall about maximizing time. People are still going to get off here, and they're going to go, Jason Cloyd. Wow, that's right. I forgot him and Clouse were friends. Let's go check out who Jason Cloyd is. Boop, 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 boop. Well, he's married. He's good. He's got some kids. That's great.
Right.
How many people are actually going to pick up a Facebook message me and say, man, you really got it right there. You inspired me to call my mom and call my dad, or, whatever. And don't know. There's a lot of heart that goes into it.
Right. Well, listen, as we wrap up our first official episode here, is there anything else you want to comment on, touch on, anything bugging you? You want to give a shout out to anybody? Anything happening?
Did you gain to quarantine 15?
Probably pretty damn close. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Not a lot of wrestling being done right now, as you can imagine.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. Yeah. So anybody who wants to shed the quarantine 15, hit me up. I'll help you shed a few lbs. But yeah. So no, we. Other than that, we talk about maximize our time. I think we even find ourselves a little note that I wrote here. Actually, I think it was a note that I wrote after our last show. We were talking about quarantine and stuff like that. I think we find ourselves now talking to our pets more too. I mean, how many times have you ever walked in from work and you sat down and you looked at your cat and you go, hey, how's it going today? I mean, you just really don't. Right. But now you find yourself, you talk and you put words into your pet's mouth. It's like, I mean, I'm surprised that I don't have Figs up here in on the show, because he usually sits right up here, right at the table. He looks like he's just sitting here as part of the family, just sits there. And you would walk in and go, wow, he's literally part of the family, but we find ourselves talking to the cat, talking all the time. Hey, how's it going? What are you doing? Taking another nap, taking another bath. It's amazing on what we do. So yeah, we probably have all talked to our pets a little bit more during this quarantine.
Fascinating.
Oh my goodness.
I'm riveted. At this point, we don't have pets in the house because my kids are allergic to cats and dogs. However, these hypoallergenic dogs that they have now, like my sister-in-law has these Labradoodles. Do you know of these things?
Know of, yes.
Okay. I mean, they are what they are. She likes her dogs. That's cool. Not a breed that I would personally get. Just they're a little bit too rambunctious for me at this point. But the mother-in-law went and got her and my kids a little poodle, a little black poodle. Her name is Opal. And they're slowly, like Austin, who is becoming way more smart-ass-ish for his own good at some point.
Yeah.
He's slowly but surely dropping in these hints that he wants me to let the dog come live here.
Okay.
And I'm here to tell you, on May 4th of 2020, as we are recording this, I have absolutely zero interest in bringing another pet in this house. And that's just where I'm at with that.
Well, there are hyper allergenic dogs out there too that actually have real hair. They don't shed.
Right. That's what this poodle is.
Oh,
It,
okay.
it's it's a
I didn't know they are.
hyperallergenic dog. Follow the product, bro.
Well, maybe I thought you said snickerdoodle. I don't know.
No, the sister-in-law has labradoodles.
Okay, gotcha.
They are a hyper
No.
or hypoallergenic dog.
Yeah, there's something. Okay, got it.
Welcome back to the party.
Welcome back. I thought you said snickerdoodle. What in the heck?
Yeah, all right. Anything else you want to plug?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, okay.
I think
All
I'm good. I think that was good for our first rundown, and yeah, we definitely got a good product, a lot to work with, and people will definitely realize our history, our stands on where we are with a lot of things, So, but absolutely, this is a show about not being right or wrong, and what we believe in and what we don't, and how we want to spend our time. But I think if anybody can pull things out of our show, they're going to see a couple cool guys with some good character and a lot of good
absolutely
history.
hot. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Sizzling.
All right, man.
All right,
anybody has any kind of feedback, any kind of show ideas, any kind of topics, shout outs, that type of thing that they want mentioned on our show, drop us an email at clousetotheheart@gmail.com.
Other than the co-host at the bottom of the screen. So dump the new co-host at the bottom of the screen. We don't want that. So
all right, just check us out on Facebook. Right now it's under the Clouse to the Heart. We will give you all of the updates for all of the new shows that drop over the course of under our umbrella, so to speak. But Jay, thanks for your time this week, brother.
Yes.
Certainly appreciate it.
Yeah.
He is Jason Cloyd. I am Jason Clouse. And for now, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Clouse and Cloyd Show. It's all presented by Clouse to the Heart. So